I'm Kathy. I'm the Adult Services Librarian at the Waynesville Library, and I'm going to show you how to make Three Sisters stew today. The Three Sisters are corn, bean, and squash. So the beans that we're going to be using today are Anasazi beans. You can use pinto or black, whatever you like. And I just wanted to show you these beautiful scarlet runner beans that I grew, and you can get these, both of these, in the seed lending library, which opens back up around February. And this lovely squash that you see right here is a candy roaster. Really won't see these very often in the major chain grocery stores, but you can get them at the farmer's market, and you can get them at Duckett's produce stand. I know they have them right now because they gave me a call today because I was eagerly looking for more. This is the best squash for making pie, which I'm going to do in a couple of weeks, so look for that video. Let me show you how to prepare the squash, because there's two different ways you can do it. So to prepare your candy roaster squash, there's two different ways you can do it. Got my safety glove on because I'm going to show you how to cut it. The first is to just cook it whole. I've already chopped this a little bit. This is what it looks like. I just threw it in the oven at 375 for an hour. Didn't poke any holes in it, didn't do anything to it, just let it sit in there, and it will cook to this texture. It's pretty soft, and you can chunk it up. That's one way, and if you do that, your stew won't take very long to cook at all. If you're going to do it from a squash, which that has not been cooked yet, the pieces are going to be a little firmer, and so some people prefer that because this will break down and get very soft in the stew. So the best thing I can tell you to do is get a safety glove, make sure your knives are sharp, and what I like to do is I like to put this on the other hand that might get cut, and just cut a flat surface so it doesn't roll around. This one kind of already has a flat surface, but I just wanted to show you how to do that. So if you just give it a little base, and then you don't have to worry about it rolling all over the place. It's much safer. And then make sure your knife is sharp. If it's not sharp, you're more likely to hurt yourself. So I just like to cut it into manageable pieces. This, by the way, is a very small candy roaster. You'll see them 3 times this size, and they're not as easy to deal with because you can't even put it in the oven to bake it without cutting it. I prefer these small ones. So you just want to cut the peel off. So I've already scooped this with a spoon, but you're just going to want to compost that or throw it out. And I like to make the chunks small because it cooks a lot quicker that way. You can use butternut squash if you can't find a candy roaster, but candy roaster is delicious, and it's not very stringy, and it's a little sweeter. All right, so this recipe calls for 2 cups. I'm doubling it so I can share with people here at the Senior Resource Center. Okay, so now we've got our squash prepared, which really is the hardest part of making this stew. So we got that done. I've got a red onion that is sauteing in olive oil along with 4 cloves of garlic. You can adjust that accordingly to what you like. So the other ingredients are 2 cans of green chilies diced. I'm using 1 hot, 1 mild. Do not drain it. You want that juice to add to the flavor. A big can of diced tomatoes. Now this is, of course, doubling it. You don't necessarily have to add this much if you're not gonna double your recipe. And then we want to add some oregano and cumin. So calls for 1 teaspoon of cumin. I'm going to add 2, just so you know, with stews and soups, you don't have to be exact. So I just cup my hand, and whatever fills the cup is about a teaspoon. So a little bit of salt, I'm not adding a whole bunch of salt right now because the broth has salt in it. Oh, I already did the cumin and some Lindsay's Greek seasoning because this recipe calls for oregano. So I just use this because it's what I always have on hand. All right, so you can adjust the seasoning later on. A little bit of black pepper. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna add some of that squash that I pre-cooked so I could show you how that works. And then I'm also gonna add the uncooked squash that I just cut. I like doing that because I almost always have pre-cooked squash in the house, and it really helps with the texture so that it's not like a soup, but actually like a stew. Corn. Still can get really delicious corn right now. You can use frozen or you can use fresh, whatever you like. A couple of Yukon Gold potatoes. And these are beans that I pre-cooked. These are the Anasazi beans. I just cooked them in the crock pot yesterday. You can use canned beans. You do not have to start from scratch with this. And then our broth. This is chicken broth, but if you want to make it vegetarian, feel free to do that. All right. So we're gonna turn the heat up on this. Let me make sure I've got all my ingredients in. Yes, okay. So we're gonna turn the heat up on this and cook it for about 30 minutes with the lid on. Stir it every once in a while, and we'll check back when it's done. So this has been cooking for about 20 minutes on a pretty high heat. The way to tell if it's done is to smash one of these pieces of the raw candy roaster squash that we put in and make sure that it's soft. I've already done that and it is ready. I took some broth off. You can see here. I'm going to keep that, freeze it to use at a later date. But I did that because I wanted this to be a stew and not a soup. So it usually takes, this recipe takes about 1.5 cups to 2 cups of broth. And then when you're ready to serve it, I love to add parsley and cilantro on the top of the bowl. The cilantro is not necessarily authentic, but this is one of those stews that you can make your own and add whatever beans or winter squash you would like as well. For written instructions, check out the library's website. And if you have any questions for me at all, just email me at the address you see below. And thanks so much for watching. If this Three Sisters stew has got you in the mood for making soups and stews, check out these 4 books that we have highlighted here. The Chicken Soup Manifesto is chicken soup from all over the world. Best Soups and Stews by Cooks Illustrated. The Soup Club Cookbook, and the Complete Book of Soups and Stews.